Greetings, dear parents, and dear faculty and staff as well. Welcome to this Parents Orientation. Welcome to this very exciting school year 2023 to 2024 when we return to fully on-site schooling. I would like to frame my welcome remarks in terms of excellence reimagined. That is a theme, that is a slogan that we are using in the school to help us understand what we need to get done this school year. It is a return to full face-to-face learning, yes, but we also know that excellence requires of us to be very vigilant in the way we learn to live with the COVID-19 virus. The COVID is still around. We are in a much better place now than 3 years ago, thanks to the vaccines, thanks to all the public health protocols that we have observed. And therefore, I want to tell you that we will continue abiding by all public health protocols as set by our government. But it's much easier now. Will we continue wearing our masks? Yes, but only in confined spaces, especially where there is air conditioning. So that means in the classroom, we will no longer open the windows and doors. We will keep our masks on, and that will be true for all enclosed spaces. But when we are in the canteen, when we are outdoors, wearing of the mask will be optional. Along with that, it means that at the gates, there will be no more health declaration form, big relief for all of us, but we will continue to check for temperature. The medical advice we have received says that we will monitor very closely for fever and cough, but not for other symptoms. We will provide more details in a more comprehensive memo, but that gives you an idea of how the situation has changed and what the day-to-day situation in school will look like and feel like. So that's for public health. On a day-to-day basis, of course, after 2 years of Excel and 1 year of HiFlex, full face-to-face schooling means that there will be no more hybrid or HiFlex setup in the classroom. No, if you need to be absent, then you're absent, just like pre-pandemic times, and we will provide the necessary support. We will, however, experiment with the weekly online day on Wednesdays. No, one of our big takeaways during the pandemic is that online work and schooling is okay, but not every day. So we will continue to experiment with doing it 1 day a week. But I emphasize that it's an experiment because we need to make sure that we can fit into the remaining days of the week all the things that we need to do and want to do face-to-face, primarily for teaching and learning, but also for school operations. So we need to keep an open mind about this, but we will try it out for the first term. Excellence reimagined. In terms of public health, in terms of approaching our school life this year, this is what we are going to pursue. To go now into 3 particular areas where we want to reimagine excellence. First of all, there is the area of academics. We're a school after all. During Excel and HiFlex, we had to streamline the curriculum. And that's something we needed to do even before the pandemic. So it was good for us to do that. But having streamlined the curriculum, now that we are back to face-to-face schooling, we want to aim for depth in our learning. And of course, that takes a different texture from grade school to high school. So the way we look at grades, assessments, awards will be appropriate to the level of learning. But we can expect that there will be more objective metrics, that there will be more academic rigor. If for various reasons we had to be a little bit more accommodating during the 3 years of pandemic, then the academic rigor has to come back now. No, we need to keep moving forward. We will continue using technology in education. This is one of the strengths of Xavier School. We will continue using learning management systems and various tools, but the aim will be for depth, to continue promoting the love of learning, to continue promoting resiliency in our pursuit of teaching and learning. The second area where we want to reimagine excellence is holistic formation. And that must sound very familiar to you because it's such an integral part of Jesuit education. We want our formation not just to be about academics, but we want it to be holistic. Last year, we already talked about relationship and sexuality education. This will continue to be rolled out as a very important formation program in the 21st century. Mental health. This is one of the biggest takeaways during the pandemic, that we have to take care of our own mental health and the mental health of our young learners. So to continue providing psychological support, we have partnered with a new provider called MedRoser. You'll hear more about that in the unit orientations. In sports, I'm very happy to share that thanks to the generosity of our parents and alumni, we have made the decision to host the Jesuit Athletic Meet at our New Valley campus. Both campuses will be involved, both school communities, but the events will be held at the New Valley campus. We've invited all Jesuit schools in the Philippines to field their various teams in basketball and football and swimming and tennis and other sports. We will converge at the New Valley campus in September. It has been decades since Xavier School hosted this, so we're very excited for this big event. Sports is a big part of Jesuit formation. As we always say, no, a sound mind in a sound body is what we would like for everybody. Over here at the San Juan campus, I'm also very happy that we have upgraded and added 3 new tennis courts in our quadrangle. You'll see it in the picture. Again, thanks to the alumni parents who donated this. And alumni of a certain age will remember a time decades ago when we had tennis courts in the quadrangle. So that has come back bigger, better, more modern. Our wooden court in the high school gym is also being upgraded thanks to the family and friends of the late Brian Brenton Chua, former commissioner of the Xavier Alumni Basketball League. So that is another improved facility that we will all enjoy. And along with that, the comeback of PE and athletics programs to promote overall fitness. And finally, in terms of holistic formation, our international programs are back. It's not a future tense, but it's already happened. As early as last December, the High School Model United Nations group was already traveling abroad for their competitions or events. This summer, we had our biggest ever, unprecedented, biggest ever summer trip. And it was to Taipei for high school students of both campuses. We had about 140 students. No? And because of that, we had to partner with 2 schools, St. Ignatius High School, a Jesuit school, and Providence High School, run by sisters. And it was a wonderful program combining study, cultural exposure, and explorations in various places. So that was our first big foray into bringing students abroad again. There were no major untoward incidents, and therefore we're confident that we can bring back international programs. Certainly, more summer trips to look forward to next year. And in San Juan, we will endeavor to bring back XCE, the Xavier China Experience. Grade 8 will continue to go to Fujian. Because of prohibitive costs in Beijing and Shanghai, we will bring grade 12 to Yunnan. So both grade 10 and grade 12 will spend their time in Yunnan, and it will be the same study trip. We'll bring in part of the second academic term to China. More information about that in the high school orientation. And therefore, all these areas, relationship and sexuality education, mental health, sports, international programs, all these contribute to the holistic formation that we aim to provide for our young learners, your children. The third area where we want to reimagine excellence is in terms of forming persons for others. Not in the future after our students graduate, but right now while they're still at Xavier School. And here, our anchor for it is the campus ministry and service programs. We did not let go of that during Excel and HighFlex. We still did it, even if it could only be done online. Of course, this year there will be more face-to-face interactions. We have been doing a big review so that for every grade level, we can do it in an age-appropriate way. And I'm happy that this year, we have 2 Jesuits who are overseeing this. The beginning of the year, our institutional campus minister, is still in charge, Father Philip Johan. And then by late August or early September, my successor as president of Xavier School will already be here, Father Joseph Howe, and he will focus on the programs at Xavier School, New Valley. So I'm glad that working with our lay collaborators, these two Jesuits, along with the other chaplains like Father Art Borhan, Father Jun Buktas, Father John Syriac, Father Bensim, that they will be around to accompany us in our life of service and our life of faith. We have been emphasizing also caring for our common home, no? Environmentally sound practices. So now that everybody is back on campus, we have to promote this again in a big way, starting with waste segregation. No more use of single-use plastics, utensils, PET bottle drinks, many other practices. We want this to keep growing and becoming stronger as part of our school culture. Over at the New Valley campus, I'm happy that we're taking in a fresh batch of Zolwaga scholars, those from the public schools who will be with us for 6 years. And then we're also taking in our second batch of TRITS scholars, those who are coming for the Tech Voc Senior High School track. No? And they will eventually do their internship at Toyota Motor Philippines or Dual Tech on their path to employment after high school. This is a big thrust in our Xavier School New Valley campus and a big manifestation of how the school wants to be persons for others and how we want to form persons for others through the gift of Jesuit education. Therefore, we have a very exciting year ahead of us. We want to reimagine excellence. We want to bring you the best of Jesuit education, face-to-face, but emphasizing academics, holistic formation, and being persons for others. I trust that the principals will spell these out in greater detail in the unit orientations, but it's a very exciting year ahead. I welcome you on this journey, and I hope that it's going to be a very fulfilling, very enriching year ahead. And let's just continue to be open as we move forward. We'll continue adapting as we need to so that we can form a school community that is committed to being of service to each other and to the nation. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
At this point, may I invite Mrs. Jane Cacacho, our grade school principal, to give us her message for the school year.
Good afternoon. I just had to change the slide again. That was not a very flattering picture. Okay, before I begin, may I just find out who among you are new Xavier parents, meaning transferees in grade 5? Okay, welcome. Welcome to Xavier School. My part here is to kind of enflesh a little bit more what the thrust for this year means for the grade school. So, we've been talking about excellence reimagined. How does that look like, particularly in the grade school? So I'd like to talk about it twofold. We see excellence as a goal, meaning excellence as something to aspire for. But more than that, I hope that we would also be able to see excellence as a result. As a result of what? Of the effort of our students, or as a result because they're into doing something, because they like it so much that they come up with excellent results. And it just becomes a bonus. Excellence as a goal. For grades 5 and 6, if you remember, we took out the awards during the pandemic. And we saw that there were benefits to taking out the awards in terms of lessening the stress on the students and also on the parents, especially when there are reunions, where it's so hard when children are being compared with each other. However, we do recognize that there are times when rewarding or acknowledging exceptional behavior and performance may have its place in school. And so when I say when I go through the next few images, it is precisely for that purpose. Okay? So we are bringing back the Conduct and Diligence Award for grades 5 and 6. Okay? And this is when we look at conduct and effort marks, and we're looking at consistency. For the details, you may read about it in the revised student handbook, which we will roll out at the beginning of classes. Okay? Aside from Conduct and Diligence Award, we're also bringing back the annual Subject Achievement Award. This used to be called the Subject Excellence Award, and was given per quarter and then at the end of the year. Okay? But this time, we're going to change that and just give it at the end of the year, no more per trimester, and it's going to focus on a specific subject only. In the past, when we gave second honors, academic excellence honors, a student had to be good in all subjects before he could get an award, right? So this time, we will allow those with special talents, special gifts in particular subjects to be recognized for that alone. We are also repackaging the highest grade school award, the Savior Award, into a Magis Award. So we will tell your children all about it come school year, and this will be given during graduation at the end of grade 6. Okay? So that's for our, the bringing back of the awards. Now, in terms of excellence as a result of effort, our dream is that all Savior students will realize that with enough effort, okay, with smart effort on their part and with the right strategies, whatever they set their mind onto, they can achieve it. Okay? And we are promoting this kind of thinking through two of our practices in the grade school. First is the retake policy, and the second is the redo practice. Let me just go over them quickly. The retake is given when a student gets an IE in an assessment. Okay? But we all know that we, including adults, learn at different paces, in different ways. Okay? Some of us learn fast, some need a little bit more help. But does it really matter how fast we learn something? For as long as at the end of it, we got it. Right? And so, this is our message whenever we have a student take a retake after getting an initial IE. Or for the sake of our new parents, an insufficient evidence as a grade. Okay? So, the retake policy is available to grade 1 to grade 6 students. Okay? And this is not for assessments where the lead time is very long. Okay? Because when the lead time for a particular assessment is long, the design of the assessment already addresses the issue of the speed and the different ways by which a child learns. So this applies to the more cut and dry written or Google assisted exams. Okay? But the retake is an acknowledgement that some students may need more time and more help. But we believe that with those two, more time and more help, they will get in. Okay? And having said that, a retake can only be given when the student goes to the teacher for that extra encounter or for those extra practices. It's not a bonus. You got an IE, immediately you get the retake. No, the extra meeting with the teacher is necessary. It's not a statistical strategy for pulling up grades so that no one will fail at the end of the year. Okay? This is not a safety net for that purpose. And having said that, it should not be abused. Because let me just share with you that we do know of students who deliberately fail the first attempt at an assessment so that they will have more time, no, to study for the assessment and as a result, get a higher grade. Now, especially for those running for awards, those who who pass an assessment because of a retake will not be eligible for the subject achievement awards, to be fair to the rest. Okay? So, we hope that this practice gives our students that feeling that yes, it is not, passing is not a gift. Okay? Because all of us have gifts. But with my effort, coupled with the gifts already given to me, that I can be whatever I want to be because my teachers in Xavier will help me get there. That's the retake policy. Complementing the retake policy is our redo practice. This is only offered in grades 3 to 6. Why? Because the redo practice is only offered for assessments that are complex. Okay? So, maybe like a long essay, an experiment, a task that requires several days. Okay? So, how does that look? Once the teacher might give an initial deadline, no, for assessments, for the submission of assessments, and we'll give it back to the students after a day or two, and we'll tell them that if I were to grade that now, this is what you'll get. Okay? So, are you happy with that grade? And I hope the answer is no, we want something better. And given that feedback, the students may decide to, teacher, okay, don't give me the grade yet. I'll work on it a little bit more given your comprehensive comments to me in the previous days that I submitted, and I will give it back to you in the next day. Okay? So that is our redo practice. And again, we'd like the students to think that they realize that any initial grade can still, increase after it is improved given feedback. Parents who are seated behind the signboards, you may put the signboard down, okay? If it disturbs you. Thank you, sorry. Okay. Now, because we have these two practices in place, okay, where what we are actually telling the students is that we will wait for you. You don't get it yet, we will wait for you. You have not submitted something very good yet, it's okay, we will wait for you. Because we are waiting for a long time already, okay, I'd just like to clarify that the meaning of a D grade, okay, will also shift a little bit. No? In the past, a student who is literally on the fence between knowing a little bit and knowing almost nothing, sometimes gets a D. This time, for a student to get a D, we need to see convincing evidence that there is basic understanding, okay? Or that the basic skills can be accomplished by the student. In a way, what I'm saying is that a D will be harder to get this year than in the previous years. But if they don't get the D yet, we will wait because we will give the extra encounter and then they have an opportunity for the retake. Okay? Alright. Now, these two practices can only work if all of us in Xavier teachers understand it the way I explained it. Also, if it is supported by that same understanding from the home. Because unfortunately, we also heard some stories that the not taking of the test seriously the first time was the idea of someone older at home, like a parent, or sometimes, usually, a tutor. Okay? So, if the students think that way, yes, I'm sure there's a will, there's a way. They can abuse this. But in the long run, I mean, who did we fail to teach well? Okay, so I hope that we will join forces together to make sure that the reason behind the retake and redo are understood by the children. And what support can you give? No? Here, I'd just like to say that for the complex assessments that take a number of days or weeks sometimes to finish, the teachers announce them very early, right? And rest assured that together with the instructions will also be a timeline, no? To help the students. Like, if this takes 2 weeks, by day 2 you should have done this. By day 5, you should already be at this point. By day 8, and so on and so forth. And that's not a secret from you. We'd like you to know what that timeline is also. And you can check Schoology for that. Because Schoology or the LMS is where that sort of information will be placed. And if your son seems to be lagging behind and the teacher notices that, you will get a reminder, okay, on Schoology and on through your email. So you have to check your email regularly. Okay? We agreed that the email will remain to be the main channel of communication between the home and the school. And so, if the teacher has anything to inform you about your son, it might be in Schoology, but there will be an accompanying email that says, "Dear Mommy, please check Schoology." Okay? So always go back to your email. But we also would like our students to still keep the habit of logging their homework. So please, no diligent parent posting homework, no, or the assignment on Viber at the end of each day. Okay? Let your sons be responsible for that. All the teachers know that they have to let the students copy homework, schedule of assessments in the HSCN. Okay. So that was excellence as a result of effort. Now, we also, as I described a while ago, sometimes, or we also want students to do very, very well just because they like doing what they're doing. They find joy, they find meaning, no, in what they are doing, and they're so into it. Okay? And this is the reason why we are brave enough, okay? We'd like them to see relevance about what they're doing and to do well in that instead of fixating on the grades that they will get. And this is what gives us courage to continue our practice of not grading some of our subjects. Okay? Some of these were started during the pandemic, right? But for example, for CNE was not graded until grade 4. Okay? But for starting this year, we're bringing up that practice all the way to grade 6. We conducted surveys, focus group discussions among teachers, but the surveys among students and parents. And these are just some of the highlights. In CNE, we found out across grade levels that regardless of whether the subject is graded, they feel that CNE is important and that they will do what they need to do in the subject. Based on the anecdotal report of teachers who were teaching grades 2 to 4, they felt that because they experienced teaching CNE in those grade levels with a grade, and they felt that the amount of effort given by the students did not change even if we took out the grade. Okay? So that's in CNE. In music and art, it came up that the development of the skills is afforded greater freedom, and the students don't just need to, you know, need to concentrate on making sure they are well within the rubrics, no? And to color within the lines. Or, you know, this time we are promoting music and art more as a leisure activity, a recreation they can do also when they are stressed. But this is not to say we will not teach them lines, we will not teach them technique, we will. It's just, and we will still give feedback, but we will not grade. Okay? Or the feedback is there, it may be more qualitative than quantitative. And in PE, okay, some students do very well in practices. But when it's the graded activity or it's a practical exam, then they start doing poorly. Not because the skill left them, but because they're too nervous. No? They're concentrating on the grade that they might get instead of enjoying what they're doing or showing the teacher what they can actually do. Also, as you can imagine, the development of physical skills happens at different times for different people. And they're not always during the academic calendar. No? For example, if it's the time that we need to grade for the first trimester, that's not always the time when everyone will bloom for this particular physical skill. So the taking out of grades also, you know, releases us from that kind of limitation. So even if there are no grades in these subjects, our commitment to you is to continue to give your children feedback about their work, about their performance. In fact, especially in, was that to say, CME, and also I heard our teacher say that, Ma'am, mas mahirap nga po ngayon eh. Dati, I could just easily give a letter. No? Right now, I really have to phrase my feedback in such a way that it's going to be helpful and that it's accurate. And also, they also feel, our teachers also feel a bit nervous because you come to the PEC asking how they are doing in those subjects. And if there were grades, it would just be very easy for them to, well, he got this. So most probably, right? But this time, because there are no grades, they have to look back at the artifacts, at the evidences of understanding of skill of the students. So that's feedback. Second, in CLE, we are considering, we're still studying it right now, requiring a portfolio. Okay? So that, you know, remember, the no grade policy is not a lessening of what we are giving our students. Okay? It's not decreasing the rigor by which we are teaching the subjects. Okay? Those remain the same, or sometimes, for example, with this portfolio, we're actually going to ask for more. We'd like to see how they have grown, what they have learned upon reflection, etc. Okay? So we might require that as a requirement for promotion, but still, it won't get a letter grade. Our survey, both among parents and students, showed that they are yearning for more spiritual activities. No? And we also think that taking out the testing time, okay, will afford us more time to bring them to the chapel, to have a more in-depth discussion about the topics that maybe they don't understand very well yet. Okay? Now, for music and art, okay, I've heard this comment from a parent before, and it's valid. That parent was quite sad if there are no awards given, because what if my son is very good in art and there's no award in art? No? So, where will he get that recognition and acknowledgement? But the thing is, because sometimes they said, sa art na nga lang mataas yung grade eh. Diba? Tapos mawawala pa yung grade sa art. But, what we will put in place instead would be performances, exhibits, concerts. Okay? That will allow them, and of course, whose work will we exhibit? The best ones. So that's their time to shine. And in PE, so instead of spending 3-4 meetings for practical exams, we might as well use them for intrams, no? For within class competitions, and so on. So we feel that it's better use of time. Okay? So I hope this is good news for you. Okay. Return of the... okay. So we are going back to a 7-day cycle. But within the 7-day cycle, there will be, as Father Ari mentioned, that experimental Wednesday online day. Okay? Last year, online day was on a Friday. And would you believe the virtual background of students on a Friday can be quite different. Some have animated beach backgrounds. Some are snowing. Okay. So, and we do feel that while those are good for family bonding, it's hard for the students to focus. Okay? And so, we'd like to cut those fun days short. And so, the online day was placed on a Wednesday. But still, at least, no, we have one. Even we appreciate not having to wake up so early on that one day of the week. So how does it look when paired with a 7-day cycle? So we usually start our school year with an orientation week. Okay? And we label those days as day 0. Look, day 0 is not no class. Send your son to school. Okay? That's not a no class day. It just means that we will not follow the usual time that you will find in your class schedule. Okay? So when do we do a day 0 for orientation, for appreciation day, for the Christmas program, and so on? Okay? But those are school days, official school days. And we plan to begin actual subject lectures on the 19th. So that's our day 1. And because we're following a cycle, so 20 is day 2. It is followed by day 3, but that's in yellow because your son stays home. The teachers also stay home. Okay? But what you find on the class schedule will be followed. Okay? Alright. And then let's say, so after day 3 is day 4, but let's say there's a typhoon on the 23rd, on a Friday. So what happens? 26 Monday is the day 5, followed by the usual 27 day 6. And if there's nothing extraordinary happening, day 7 continues. But because it's a Wednesday, okay, your boy stays home again. I know you're taking the picture. Just know I'm not God. I cannot predict the typhoon on that day. That's just a sample. Okay. And then after day 7, we go back to the cycle again. Okay? Alright. So, it's nothing new. It's just that we included an online Wednesday. I'd just like you to appreciate, the amount of preparation our teachers have to do. Why? Because it's different if it's online day, always for a specific set. Okay? But they cannot. The moment there's a typhoon, they have to fix, they have to alter their plans. So that what they originally planned as online will become on-site or vice versa. So, it's not easy. Same with exams, no? But it's the same, the spirit behind the cycle remains the same. So let's say an online assessment is scheduled on a Wednesday, but there are no classes. Remember, even if it's online, if it's signal number 2, we still don't have classes. So an online exam might suddenly become an on-site exam because of the cycle. Okay? Alright. What else is coming back? So our extracurricular activities, you know them as IBA, the interest-based activities. Okay? So for grades 5 and 6, this time, the schedule of ECA or IPA is within the school day. And because of that, it's required of everybody. It's once a cycle. They will be asked to choose one from among a number of different exciting clubs. But they have to stick with that one club for the year. And they will be graded also for that. Okay? For their performance there. The grade will not be the usual A to IE. This is more the descriptive, outstanding, very good, good. So we are measuring participation, not really achievement in a particular skill. Although that will also be recognized. What else is coming? We took out the quarterly exams during the pandemic, but we see that they will sit for long exams in the high school. They will also sit sooner for a long exam in grade 6 because of the high school entrance exam. No? And because of that, we'd like to make sure to prepare them to study more voluminous material and to be ready to sit down longer for a long test. So, because of that, in grade 5, expect that in the third term, there will be term end, or what we call quarterly exams before. No? There will be term end exams in some subjects. Not all. Why not all? And that works for grade 6 too. Why not all? Because sometimes in certain subjects, for some trimesters, there are topics that are better tested in other ways, meaning non-paper and pen. And if that happens, we will do the better way rather than just sticking with a pen and paper. But there will be subjects who will give term and pen and paper tests. Okay, so for grade 6, at the end of the first term, they will already have their first feel of it, and for the second and the third trimester. Note also that because these topics have already been tested previously in the smaller assessments. Remember, at the end of each topic, we have an assessment. So, when we test for the term end test, it's really already their second time to be tested on all those lessons. Okay? There will be no retake for the term end, because it was expected that basic understanding was already attained earlier. Okay? Alright. Continuation. So we see that mental health remains to be an issue despite the tender age of our boys. So we'd like to continue giving full support to that, but we're shifting from Mind Nation to Med Grocer. So we'll tell you more about that through a circular during the school year. And then we are continuing with our cashless payment system. At this point in time, only in the canteen, but we're also studying expanding this to the bookstore, also to cashiering. No? But it has an implication because, of course, there are certain charges that need to be absorbed, right? But with this, the good thing about this and the AUB app is that your son will not need to bring his gadget to the canteen. No? All you have to do is to print a QR code, and your son will be instructed to paste that but with his ID so that he can be hands-free when he is in the canteen. Because we heard you, it was difficult for a little boy to have an iPad, a tray, a jug, all those during recess. No? So this will facilitate the purchase, doing any purchase at the canteen. Okay. One thing also that worked well for us last year was the health notification form. Remember that? When your son had to be absent, had to do quarantine or had to isolate, instead of submitting an excuse letter, we had you just fill out the health notification form. We're expanding that to an absence notification form. And because it's an absence notification form, this will take the place of your excuse letter. So if your son is absent from school, okay, you don't need to handwrite anymore or to email. You will just, we'll give you the QR code next time, but you will just fill in that Google form. Okay? So this will be used for absences, leaves of absence, meaning absences of more than 3 days, 3 or more days, and should there be COVID-related absences due to the need to isolate and so on. So it will cover all that. Okay? Alright. We want all Xaverians, okay, to be a product of the love and care of both the home and the school. Having said that, it is very important that the home and the school share the same values. But sometimes we understand that you may have some concerns or issues that you need to ask or to raise. Okay? Our only request is that you follow our usual protocol. No? If you have a concern with a teacher, the person you talk to is not Father Ari, please, God forbid, at least for me. Okay? So, the teacher himself or herself. Because after all, he or she is the one who knows what happened. Only if you are not happy with how your meeting with that concerned teacher or staff goes, then you go through the ranks. Okay? The usual. So you go and see the department chair if it's something academic, if the concern is academic in nature. You go see the team leaders at an appointment with the team leader. If it's something about formation, not subject related, you're still not happy, there's Mr. Perez and Mrs. Orquesa to listen to you. You're still not happy there, you may come and see me after setting an appointment, but please email your concern first, okay, so that we can make efficient use of time. If I still am not able to assuage your anxieties or address your concerns, by all means, do set an appointment with our school president. Okay? But what usually happens is, if there's a concern, it goes to the Viber chat of the section. And that we don't want. Okay? Why? If it's just a sharing of information, an FYI of school policy, by all means, that's what Viber is for. But if it's to raise a complaint, Viber cannot help. And it's like the blind leading the blind, because the people who will answer you first do not know what's happening, was not there when it happened, and cannot give you an answer that you might need. Okay? So the best thing to do is really to first talk to the teacher concerned. Okay? So, we look forward to working with you. We hope we are all on the same page, because definitely our goal is the same. To form happy, well-adjusted, healthy Xaverians. And if we work together, we are better together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cacacho. Father Aries and Mrs. Cacacho's presentations might have surfaced questions and concerns. You may send us your questions or concerns through the QR code flashed on the screen. These will be included in the FAQs that we will prepare. Now, to share with us the health protocols that will be implemented this school year, let us welcome Dr. Beverly Chua from the Xavier School Infirmary team to give her talk.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm here to present the updated health policies for this coming school year, given that we are out of the pandemic already. Okay? Okay, so let me just briefly introduce to you our doctors. Our medical coordinator is Dr. Anne-Marie Tanting, together with Dr. Jackie Yin, Dr. Thea Coazo Lim, our new latest doctor addition, Dr. Willie Mejia, Dr. Julia Yoden Cruz, and of course, these are our nurses. Together, we have 4 right now. Okay, so we will still be recommending the use of masks, especially in enclosed spaces like in the classrooms, and in libraries. But of course, students can remove their masks during PE classes, sports, and during lunchtime and breaks. Okay. For students with colds, okay, so we understand sometimes they have allergic rhinitis or just allergies. They are allowed to come to school, but they have to keep their mask on all the time except during PE and during PE. So students who cannot wear their mask, meaning they have a hard time breathing, probably because their nose are congested, and when they wear their mask, they can't breathe properly, then they be advised to stay at home. No? For students with cough, they may return to school upon submission of a negative COVID antigen test to the grade school principal's office. Submission of a COVID antigen test is voluntary, so parents can choose to have their child stay at home and wait until their symptoms resolve, or they can do the COVID antigen test. We will be sending home all students with cough unless there is a negative COVID antigen test. For students with fever, they may return to school as long as they're symptom-free for 48 hours and they submit a negative COVID antigen test. So, for example, they just had fever for 1 day, and then for the next 2 days, they have to be symptom-free. They shouldn't have any CNAT, no fever, and then on the 4th day, so technically they can come back, but they have to present a negative COVID antigen test. But if you don't want to do that, then you can just complete the 5-day isolation period in view of the COVID antigen test. Okay, so what's a valid COVID, what we consider valid COVID antigen test? These are the tests that are performed by laboratories with the printed results. So we don't accept self-administered or yung mga home kits of COVID antigen test. The test will be valid for 10 days from the date of the test and must be submitted to the principal's office prior to the day of return. So this applies for those having mga prolonged symptoms, like any allergies. Yeah? So you can do this and it will be valid for 10 days, and hopefully by then symptoms would have been controlled. No? So presentation of a medical certificate or clearance will not be accepted as a substitute for the COVID antigen test. So for our protocol for students with fever will be to monitor them in an outdoor isolation area while waiting for their parents to fetch them. No? So they won't be inside the infirmary. Parents are advised to pick up their child within 3 hours. In the event that the child is critically ill or the parents cannot be reached, it will be the physician's discretion to send the child to the emergency room of Cardinal Santos Medical Center, which is nearest, for further treatment. So, what about those with household exposure for COVID cases? They are no longer required to isolate. They may come to school provided that they don't have any symptoms. But the condition is they need to keep their mask on while they're in school, except during meal times. No? So if you have other questions or clarifications or any concerns, you may contact the numbers shown above and an email. That will be all for the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chua. Next, we would like to call on Mr. Bugarin, the grades 5 and 6 team leader, to discuss important grade level concerns, especially reminders for the first few days of school.
Good afternoon, dear parents. I am Mr. Dindo Bugarin, grades 5 and 6 team leader for this school year. We hope that everyone is safe and well. We are all looking forward to seeing your sons in a few days. Before I go any further, two important announcements. First, should you have questions about the cashless payment system that we will use, there are EAP representatives at the back of the room who are ready to answer your questions. Second, please note that the class list posted outside the MPC contains the correct section of your son. Kindly disregard the sections found in the parents' portal. At this point, let me now discuss important information that you will need to know before the opening of classes. First, uniform. Having a school uniform helps create an atmosphere of structure and formality. As the students report back on site, it is important to let them feel that the school environment is not as informal as their own homes. And as such, there will be more rules to follow, and wearing the uniform is one of them. All students are required to wear the Xavier School issued collared shirt complete with a school logo and a name tag sewn on top of the logo. Insofar as this is a school uniform, please note that similar collared shirts may not serve as alternative attire. This top should be paired with a decent pair of bottoms, either shorts or pants, and rubber shoes. Still on the uniform, students are required to wear the yellow Xavier PE shirt paired with the blue PE shorts or jogging pants on their PE day. Footwear consists of white socks and any comfortable and well-fitting rubber shoes. Regarding haircut, in addition to the prescribed dress code, students are expected to observe the required haircut, and that is the barber's cut as prescribed in the student handbook. As regards to communication between home and the school issued each student an excess parent email. This means one email address for every child you have currently enrolled in Xavier. All official school communication like messages from the class advisor, reminders, or makeup tests, and general announcements may be sent through this email. We request that you check your excess parent email regularly. When getting in touch with the school, please also use that email so that you can easily be identified as the parent of your child. Since email correspondences may include crucial information, we request that you, our dear parents, directly communicate with us. We have had isolated cases of students replying to their teachers through the excess email instead of their parents. And this has led to some miscommunication or delay in resolving concerns. In addition, the grade 5 students will also be issued their own student email, which will be used for all direct school communication with them. Aside from needing this email account to open certain apps, this hopes to instill in the students a greater sense of responsibility and ownership of the tasks and duties they have to do. On the other hand, the grade 6 students will have continued access to their student email, which was issued when they were in grade 5. A teacher's directory containing the email addresses of your son's teachers, such as his class advisor, guidance counselor, student supervisor, and other subject teachers will be provided to you. Kindly refer to this to inform us any of your concerns. Please note that the most efficient way to get a concern addressed is to directly contact the teacher or school authority involved. At this point, kindly allow me to remind everyone that teachers have limited time to check their emails. And so, even as they wish to answer you as quickly as they can, please allow for a healthy turnaround of time, usually 1 to 2 days. Email received after 4 p.m. will be read on the following day. In cases of emergency, you may call the grade school principal's office or the office of the disciplinary services. Regarding HSCN, the homeschool communication notebook will be used by your son to copy his homework and other important reminders for the day. Teachers may write short notes to you through the HSCN. We request you to check this every day as well, and at least affix your signature to acknowledge the teacher's message. Regarding routines during online day, everyone should be logged in to Zoom the entire period using the Savior-issued parent email account. Again, in parent email account, not the student's account. Students are requested to save their class Zoom links in their devices for easy login access. The quality of learning is directly affected by the conduciveness of the student's learning environment. Given this, we ask that you provide your son a permanent learning space at home. He will need a table, chair, and an electrical outlet for charging his gadget. School materials should be within reach to avoid wasting time looking for them when needed. Make sure that the dedicated learning space is well lighted, well ventilated, and comfortable, as he will not just attend his online classes, but will also accomplish all schoolwork that needs to be done at home. Routines on recitation, asking questions, going to the bathroom, doing sit work, etc. will be discussed in their first few days of school. We request you to help us impose these school routines during online classes from your homes too. How about gadgets to be used? The grades 5 and 6 students are required to bring their fully charged iPad to school. A circular was emailed to you regarding the installation of mobile device management system software in your son's iPad. To help with classroom management, please make sure this is done prior to the opening of classes. What about food? Students may bring their own food to school, though they also have the option to buy their meals from the food concessionaires at the canteen. For those buying directly at a daily basis, all transactions will be cashless. Students will not be allowed to buy food through cash payment. In line with this, as mentioned by Mrs. Camacho, please make sure that you enroll to the Hello Money app. A circular will be sent to you in your parent email regarding instructions on how to create the QR code. Please take note that utensils will not be provided by the school. Students will have to bring their own spoon and fork if they need this. How about playing? Students look forward to playtime and given their long absence from face-to-face encounters with peers, we have structured 2 health breaks within the day. 2 40-minute health breaks are given to students. Health break supervisors will ensure that the first 15 minutes of each break will be allotted for resting and eating. Students will only be allowed to leave their eating area once this time is up. The rest of the break may be spent on playing. The boys will be informed of the schedule of playtime in the quadrangle, sports center, and the football field. We are also happy to inform you that the students may visit the library or the LRC during health breaks. Preparing materials needed for school. To practice responsibility at home and to be ready for the next school day, your sons are encouraged to develop the habit of preparing their materials the night before. Your assistance in guiding them to do this using the class schedule will be important. Our regular schedule. This school year will have to follow the 7-day cycle. Wednesday is our online day regardless of the day cycle. Classes for grades 5 and 6 will start at 7:30 a.m. and end at 2:50 p.m. These are days 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. But for days 4 and 7, there will be an early dismissal which is at 2:10 p.m. The regular class schedule will be followed starting June 19. On the orientation week schedule and open house, we have scheduled orientation days in the first week of the school, which will be from June 14 to 16. Topics during these days will allow your son to be familiar with the various places in the campus, classroom routines and other school rules, regulations, and policies. The first day of classes for grades 5 and 6 students will be on June 14. On this day, parents may bring their sons to the classrooms. However, we request that you wait for your sons in the prescribed exit gates already during dismissal time. Please take note of the schedule from June 14 to 16. Classes will start at 7:30 a.m. and end at 2:10 p.m. Regular schedule will start on June 19, Monday. This will be day 1 of cycle 1. What are the things to bring on the first day? The first day of classes is important and therefore we are requesting you to bring your son to school on time. Starting June 14, please have your son bring the following. The regular bag, not the school bag that we usually bring during the first day. This time, it's the regular bag that contains HSCN, coloring and writing materials, envelopes and other school materials, grooming kit that contains extra shirt, shorts, mask, wet wipes, or small pack of tissues. All these things should be labeled with the name of your son. The grab bag and the food and water. There is no need to bring the iPad yet this week. Again, no need to bring the iPad during the orientation day, except on June 15. Please have your son bring his fully charged iPad on June 15. Starting June 19, all school materials for the day, including the iPad, should be brought to school every day. What is your entrance and exit gates? Please note that the prescribed entrance and exit gate for grades 5 and 6 students is gate 9, the gate near the steel parking. Please note too that parking outside Xavier School is not allowed and Barangay Green Hills is implementing a clamping ordinance. You may use the parking facility at gate 9 for your convenience. Fetcher's card. If you apply for a fetcher's card, you may claim it after this orientation at the grade school open dining. This will already be used when you fetch your son on the first day of school. On simplicity, in line with our trust on simplicity, the school encourages simple living through the following practices. Grades 5 and 6 students do not have to bring money to purchase food since we are implementing cashless payment. Please ensure, however, that you only put the right amount of money for his meals in school. Students are not allowed to wear jewelry and other accessories in school. Birthday parties in school are not allowed also. Distribution of loot bags and other giveaways is also not allowed. We hope that you can help us in promoting simplicity through these practices. Preparing for school for on-site classes. This new school year will entail new adjustments again, especially to students who will be attending classes on-site for the first time. It is important to stress the virtues of responsibility, cooperation, independence, and self-discipline. Whether schooling takes place in the home or in school, these virtues have to be practiced faithfully and consistently. Thank you for listening. We look forward to working together with you. Lucia.